Welcome to the Personal Development Mastery Podcast. Stand out, don't fit in. Welcome to the Personal Development Mastery Podcast. Today I have the real pleasure to be speaking with an extraordinary lady who was made in Brazil with UK parts. She's officially certified Wim Hof method instructor and the only female level 2 instructor in the UK. Estrela, welcome to the show. It's a real pleasure to speak with you for the second time for the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for having me. It's an honour to be invited back. It's always a good thing.
It's great to have you. And Emma, I wanted to start just by some kind of background. You say that your life has been a journey of uncovering your true identity. So can you give us one or two maybe key defining moments in that journey of self-exploration?
Yeah, sure. I think so 5 years ago, I think now I had a burnout in life, and it was just everything seemed to be unbalanced at the time, and just allowed me to address sort of like a new way, because if I was really honest, the way that I was living, I probably wasn't very happy. So it wasn't the best time to have a burnout. It never is. But it did, it did kind of reinforce what the word success meant to me, and it wasn't the way that I was going down. So yeah, it was a big wake up call. And what I didn't realize, I suppose, at the time, that things were happening for me. I think things were happening to me. So I think that was the biggest thing. And when you make that switch, you believe that there's a life lesson in everything. So, and that journey was very hard. Like admitting some home truths is never very nice. It's never very nice at all. So I think I did a lot of shadow work, or just a lot of, but it was a different spin. So I wasn't going down into depression at all. It was just more enlightenment, admitting your faults, or going into the skeleton of the closet and going, yeah, I own it. This is me. So when I mentioned my identity, I don't know, it's no secret that I am adopted. So I was adopted in Brazil, and then my English parents, which I call my parents because they're the only ones I know, came over to England. And so I was educated, brought up here, and brought up by English family. So I think when I use my identity, a lot of it came from that I didn't, although I was brought up in a lovely, loving environment, I still had that itchy feeling of like, who am I? Where am I from? And I don't think that ever leaves an adoptee point of view. So my journey was very much discovering who am I, and what it's entailed now. It's not necessarily in the physical form. It doesn't matter that I don't know my parents. It's more the fact that I know who I am. And it's been a real journey, up and down, just to get that realization that I'm enough and I'm whole, without needing to know these biological sort of traits or terms and things like that. So yeah, that's what I mean about my identity. So.
And you came across the Wim Hof method at some point. I think you told me while you were listening to a podcast.
Yes, that's right. Happily, yeah, Rich Roll podcast. I was listening to him, and he interviewed Wim. I think it was June or something like that, August 2016. And I heard Wim for the first time, and his story really resonated with me, his background story. As I always openly say, I had heard of the Iceman before and breaking all these world records, but they didn't mean anything to me. I was like, why would you want to do that? It's crazy. But it was his story and the reason why he went to that place. I was like, oh, right, I get it. Because at that time, I was also going into nature, albeit not as advanced as he was, or in depth or deep. But I was also kind of finding my answers in nature as well. So when he just said, go into cold water, I was wearing a wetsuit at the time, doing swimming. And I just thought, yeah, maybe I can do this. And oh my God, it was a real experience to do that. And I suppose I haven't looked back since. It's freedom beyond that fear, for sure.
So how has the Wim Hof method changed you as a person? I know it's
Yeah, I mean,
a big question.
it is a big question, and interesting you say that right now before everything that's sort of happening. I spoke to Wim about it when I went to Poland, and no one really knows my testimonial from the Wim Hof point of view. And I was going to come out and do a few YouTube videos on it, but I said to Wim that for me, Wim Hof method has helped me release trauma, and I don't know if many people associate the Wim Hof method with trauma release because there's other different types of breath work for that. But it really has helped me go back to the pre-verbal trauma that I had and I didn't know I was carrying. So the Wim Hof has allowed me to my body to release that at that time back then without reliving the negative loop. Obviously, I didn't know. So for me, it was very innate and primal. So my theory is when I was born, it's stressful enough for a baby to be born naturally. So but I believe I had my mother's fear as well because she knew that she was going to give me up or adopt. That I had her cortisol come through the umbilical cord, as well as my own stress and fears of coming into this world. That I was born definitely in fight or flight and adrenal overload. And the first couple of years, I couldn't communicate that, so I was put into a new environment, new smells, new language, new everything that wasn't familiar. Because all I'd known is womb life, if you like, for 9 months. So all that I had to really reprogram or just have that kind of early, I trust, I'm getting fed and getting watered. Didn't have anything, taken away from that point of view, but innately it was distrust or something didn't marry up. And with the Wim Hof method, because you really do exercise between the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system, you get familiar with that feeling. I do believe that the couple of breath works that I've had, I've been brought back to the womb and just about to be born and realizing that the cortisol and the adrenaline wasn't mine. And it was just like, it's allowed me to be freer and open up in my body. And it was very moving actually to know that, because I had no clue until that happened. And I was like, wow, I really felt that connection with my birth mum, but also that kind of release that I believe happened, and I don't need to carry it along anymore. So I think since then I started to sleep better at night. I always slept well, but I sleep more relaxed now because when I'm in bed, my shoulders come up and things like that. But now they're like, oh, okay, I'm feeling a lot less sort of deep tension that had been released. So yeah, I spoke to Wim, and it really is a trauma release without knowing about that, just because you become very in tune with your body, with the breath work and how you're feeling. So
fascinating.
First to openly speak about it. So now it's so now I want to specialize and sort of really do more niche from the Wim Hof method and sort of more concentrate on what I know, my story, which is early life trauma release. Yeah.
So you think you can help others with using the Wim Hof method release their own childhood traumas?
Yeah. So I've been working with adoptees around the world and doing. So it's very similar to the Wim Hof. Obviously, there is some innate feeling or some feeling and some key things that I know as an adoptee what it's like. So I really sort of try and home into that kind of feeling of going into the emptiness or the hollowness that some adoptees can have, and not just adoptees, there's many sort of early life trauma. But it's that inner core that feels the hollow, and no one else can feel it apart from you. So it was just very much encouraging that you can feel that yourself. So I think sort of going more into that whilst doing the breath work. Yeah.
Emma, did that release happen in a moment, or did it happen over a long period of time?
It happened in the moment because I really didn't know that was a thing. Because the rational part of my mind was like, yeah, I'm adopted and I'm okay about it. But the body doesn't lie. It was sort of trickling out of me. It was just that one powerful breath work that I felt my mum's heartbeat, and it was faster than mine. And then I was like, whoa, it's the connection that I had is like, she she knew about it but didn't want it, or lived in fear, and that whole kind of I'm giving birth to a child that I'll never see, and or whatever, or I give her the best birth and she can live her best life, but there's a disconnection there. Whatever it was, I don't know the emotional attachment to it. I can only, but the physicalness that I was definitely born with more fight or flight, and it wasn't my own. So yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Right. So let's take a step back then now, because we have been talking about the Wim Hof method, and for someone who doesn't know what the Wim Hof method is, how would you describe it in a nutshell?
Yeah, sure. So the Wim Hof method is comprised of 3 pillars: breathing, breathwork, and it's very interesting, the breathwork. I think it's unique because it has so much going on in that one cycle. That one cycle. So you've got the retention period, and you've got the building up of diaphragmatic calm breathing. So for me, it's really, really interesting, and it can unlock so much in your life for health benefits and things like that, as well as the emotional and sort of nice release, which we were just talking about. There's a cold exposure, so the cold exposure is beautiful. When you get used to it and everything like that. So it doesn't have to be an ice bath, which I suppose the Wim Hof method is famous for everyone getting into ice baths. Cold exposure could mean so much more, but it's just about waking up your body and the cells in your body that it's capable of, really. But we just live too comfortably now. And then the third pillar is the commitment side. So the commitment is open to interpretation. The commitment could be the commitment to doing the Wim Hof method, or it could be the commitment and mindset of what you need to go into the ice water or the breathing. So it's a very nice open, or the commitment could be the mastery of the Wim Hof method and getting to know a deeper level of yourself and how you respond to different things. So it's a beautiful, I say the beautiful part is the commitment side of it, because you make it yours, and whatever you need for it to be in your life throughout the rest of your life. So however you want to interpret that.
I like the word mastery that you used. It's it's very appropriate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell me, let's talk about the cold exposure then. Why would someone do ice baths or cold showers, or swim into the lakes as you do in the middle of the winter?
I think for me, it's been a great journey. That initially, obviously, I wasn't very comfortable. I always thought, I'm born in Brazil, hot country. I'm not designed for the cold, so I'm very much resisting the cold. But I think when you explore, because I was in the time that was happening to me, I was questioning everything. Everything. I was questioning even my friendships with some people. It's just I was questioning everything. So it came when I was curious to find another way. So for me, I liked the fact that it wasn't seen to be normal, if you like. Probably still isn't now, but it is very much in my life. So I was curious to do something that was pushing my boundaries, my limiting beliefs, and just to see how I would feel again. Because I think the reason for my sort of imbalance through my burnout was because I was living quite disconnected. So when I heard Wim on the podcast saying you need to connect back to yourself, and it's a great opportunity to do this now when everyone is sort of in quarantine, if you like, or lockdown, that it is an opportunity to explore how you respond and what makes you tick, and are you happy? Is this really what you wanted? And so back then I was sort of asking myself those questions, and the way to find out about yourself, you sort of learn from the uncomfortableness. So I was really up for trying to push myself into a place that didn't seem good in order to see how I would be. And the more that I did it, the more it's quite addictive, because you feel so amazing and so good after it. And it's a really good lesson that you definitely overthink it. Well, I did anyway. And then when I came out, I was like, what was I ever worrying about? Do you know what I mean? So, and that's a really nice skill, or a nice switch or a new pathway of thinking. transferable in life. If there's something that you don't want to do, you kind of just, why do I not want to do it? And sort of what's the trigger in me? Am I overthinking it, or just do it anyway? And then when you do, you're like, I'm so glad. So it's very much, it's a lovely sort of, you can learn so much from the cold. It is not, for me now, I think it's not about the cold. The cold can give you so much more than just that feeling of, I'm in a cold place. So I would encourage anyone to explore by going. It doesn't have to be the whole body or anything like that, but just find out, give yourself that favor and find out about what makes you tick. Yeah.
Awesome. And sharing my own experience, having been doing cold showers for close to 2 years now, what you said about getting out of the comfort zone and really forcing your will over your mind who wants to not do it, because I never turn it to cold and say I'm looking forward to it. It's always, there is some resistance in my mind. Maybe today I can skip it and start again tomorrow. There's always that voice. But once the water hits me, that is a big win against my mind trying to keep me on my comfort zone, on my safety. And of course I feel awesome afterwards. And the internal dialogue stops. So these are obvious benefits for me. And apart from that, I know that there are benefits of improved immune system, which I believe, especially now with the coronavirus, it's really the only defense that we have against the virus is a good immune system. And yes, to wash our hands and keep some distance from other people, but our immunity, which is very important.
Definitely. And with the Wim Hof method, it's innate immunity, so it's the real immunity, which apparently it wasn't affecting young people because they naturally have it. As we get older, we get too comfortable in a comfortable conditioned room, everything like that. We live in more fear, so yeah, and fear-based sort of decreases your immunity. So with the Wim Hof method, facing the fear and doing anyway is beautiful. And with the cold, it does allow the flexibility of the capability of the body. So you are strengthening your immune system by going into the cold. Absolutely. So, yeah, and I think it's just about taking back that power mentally and physically. You can do it. We are designed that we can do it. Not to stay there permanently, but to visit. And it becomes a happy stressor. So you are, yeah, absolutely.
And we do need to get out of our what is comfortable, because many people live a life of comfort completely. I mean, physical comfort. It's never too cold, never too hot, never too hungry, never too thirsty. And I believe that the human body was not designed to live in that averageness all the time.
Totally, and I think until my sort of burnout 5 years ago, I wasn't aware of any of that. I was just living like a programmed person. You know, there's always plentiful food. There's always plenty of choice. I always preferred a warm room, but I didn't know why. So I think it wasn't until then that, as I said, when you start questioning everything and you sort of visit the stresses now in life, you become aware, and awareness is beautiful because then you can start to heal or start to address it. So it was really nice to like, oh, well, why don't you go in the cold? Well, I don't know. Why not? Just those things were just making me aware of it. So I was like, okay, I will. You know, now, but I never knew that before. You know, I never knew that I had so much choice on my food. I never knew that I was driving to work and I could have cycled. I never knew, you know, all these things. But when they come to your attention or the awareness, like the breath, you breathe automatically, but then you can also influence it by conscious breathing. Suddenly you're like, wow, it opens up so many possibilities.
Amazing. You know, there are many things that I want to ask you based on what you just said. So I want to talk about the breathing a little bit later. Before that, I want to, because we mentioned the immunity and the coronavirus, and you said something earlier about that phrase that is being heard so much about social distancing, which we think that. So tell me again what you said, because I really I think you are absolutely right about it.
Thank you. I feel when I first heard about the coronavirus and social distancing, I got really upset and I was crying a couple of times, and I was like, why am I crying? It's because of the word social distancing. I don't like it, and I remain neutral on my social media, so I'm not going to go, I don't like social distancing, but it has really affected my heart, like it really has, because at the end of the day, social distancing, allowing people to be rude or to look at you as if you've got 5 heads and they want to avoid you and things like that. And it's actually just physical distancing. And that is it. Physical distance of 2 meters or whatever the thing is. And I think the media have played a really bad card there, because social distancing is enforcing a whole different mindset of fear and keyboard warriors, but in a physical way now, and things like that. And I'm not enjoying that word at all. It is just physical. And so you should have a bigger smile on your face 2 meters away, and a bigger kind of, okay, and I see that occasionally in the local communities, but I don't see it enough. Like when I was at the shop, I said to the woman, and how are you in all this? And she's like, you're the first person that's asked me that in days. I felt so sad that is the case, because everyone's got the social distancing thing in their head and they're getting programmed to a different belief system, but it is just physical distance.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I miss is the connectiveness of a physical side of it. And it is just because the body doesn't lie again. So you can be open, warm, happy, honest, relaxed, and be 2 meters apart.
Yeah, absolutely. There is indeed lots of fear spreading, unfortunately, from the news and from many sources, and negativity, which in a way it spreads faster than the virus and could damage people much more, because again it lowers the immunity. If we are living in a fearful or a fight or flight state, our defenses are not capable to cope with something like this, and we get sick. So yeah, I'm trying my best to keep positive and to share through the podcast the positivity from other people, because this is what I think people should listen to, much more than the number of casualties and all those terrible things that they keep on bombarding people with the news.
No, I agree.
Yeah. You said something else earlier that I really like, that during the self-isolation, the quarantine period, people will either turn fat or fit.
Yeah.
I really like that.
It's between an A or an I. Yeah, depending on your outlook, I guess.
It's a choice, really, isn't it?
It's a choice. So I've been out on my bike now. I've got my bike back and I'm cycling because I don't know whether people know, but at the moment I live in a van. So I'm not very mobile now because we have to all be on lockdown. So it's teaching me a very different way. So I'm back on my bike to get my groceries and shopping and things like that now. So and I'm enjoying it, or walking, So I'm definitely going to be more on the A side with I'm getting fitter. So.
But tell us about, since you mentioned that, about the van and being off grid and doing this unique approach to living. Why are you doing it, and how do you find it so far?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so so it was last August that because my work is very was international. So I was spending 2 or 3 weeks away in different countries. So it's another harsh lesson for me that I was adding to the carbon footprint, which I now I'm aware of with all my flights and stuff like that. But yeah, so my work just took me abroad, and I love the travel. I love the the people that I was connecting with abroad, and I was learning more about my niche, so about the adoption side of it as well. And then my flatmate said to me, "But what I love about you is the fact that you pay half the rent and you're never here." And I'm like, "Oh." So it just allowed me to rethink my situation.
So you shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, totally. It's not because I made the best cup of tea or got the brownies or anything like that. It was because I'm never there. So I just thought, yeah, interesting. So I just thought, you know what? van life had appealed to me, living in a van and having that sort of freedom to move. So I thought, yeah, I'm going to live in a van. It's only going to be maximum 6 or 14 days a month, which I can handle. It's like a holiday before I have to go abroad again or work abroad. So I did that, and I started that in October. And so I did the winter, and I was going to blog about it, but it was so I didn't have any heating in my van during the winter or anything like that. And basically, it helped me form a new relationship to the cold, because obviously I love the cold, going to cold rivers and things like that. But sleeping in like -2 to sometimes -6, and then going into a cold river, to take another level of adaptation and genesis, if you like. So I got out feeling, finally, I feel warm. But so that's like another sort of thing. But it enabled me to have a healthier relationship with the warm. So I really appreciated the hot and the warm, the fires and things like that. And I definitely respect the cold a lot more than I ever did or I ever have done. So it has deepened my relationship with the Wim Hof method and with nature, doing that. Anyway, I got caught short with the coronavirus because I was really lovely. There's so many coffee shops and cafes in Cumbria that I used to just go and do the circuit and just go in, say hello to the owners and have something to eat, have a coffee, and use their internet or charge up my batteries and everything like that. But then obviously with lockdown, everything, so I was like, whoa. So the coronavirus is for me is wow, I had to really sort of change my whole living. I'm in the country for 31 days now, a month. Although I haven't been in, it's only been a couple of weeks. But I have got that mindset that I'm not going to be on an aeroplane anytime soon. So it's just me in the van. So I was like looking at the van, which was meant to be a temporary holiday, and look how fun van life is now looking at going, oh my God, this has just got real. So I'm like, oh, great. So I've had some really, really lovely friends who have supported me and put me up, and sort of allowing me sort of the shock of like living in a van now permanently. And it's not the best van for space. So now I'm here at my friend's house, and we're putting in solar panels. So I'm going to be prepared to go off grid. So now with a battery, solar, and I'm learning all about the electrics and what I need. Got a great water filter system coming, so I can just get the water from the lakes and stuff like that. Nice. I've got gas camping stove as well as electric now. So if I do plug into the mains, I've got a great electric, which is super healthy because I've got, not many people know, I've got a pressure cooker, got a steamer, got one pot that can do everything. It's so nice. When I do plug into the mains, I actually have a really nice, I've got risotto and things, and you know what I mean? So I eat well in there. But off-grid is something that I've never done, never experienced, but I'm going to embrace it. So there's only slight snags. I used to go to laundrettes. I'm not even sure they're open yet, but I'll worry about that later, if you like. I think during these challenging times, people come together, and they kind of, which is what I really like. So I've had so many people who I didn't expect, that the hand of offer of help, they're coming through for me, and I'm like, oh, thank you. So yeah, I'm very much relying on the continuation of mankind to sort of help me adapt in my new way. So, which is no bad thing. I mean, I outsourced a lot of my life, so I cafes, coffee shops, my bike. I went to a local bike thing to pump up the tires. Like, all that's gone now. So I'm like, ooh, so how do I pump up my own tires? I should know what to do or how to do it. So I'm just putting my independence back again, something that I just advocated because I always wanted to support local and be kind of put my money into the local community and local businesses. So
yeah.
So yes.
I think you should definitely blog about this and use the time in nature and type away, and because that's who knows, maybe more of us will need to do that at some point if this situation carries on.
I mean, I do love nature anyway, and I have a fantastic connection, but I've always known that I can go back to society, if you like. But this is where I hope to park the van up. It's on private property, so hopefully it'll be fine. There's nothing there. There is a beck, and there's no signal. I can get signal on top of the hill, or if I cycle, half an hour. So I'm not sure whether, do you know the film Castaway with Will?
Yes, yes.
I've got a really nice sort of succulent plant, so maybe that might be my Wilson aspect. Or I've been talking to sheep. I'd be the sheep whisperer, because they're probably the most things I'll see if I go off grid.
It's going to be a fascinating blog. I'm looking forward to reading it. Talking
I
with
don't
a
come
sheep.
back and forget how to interact with humans.
Or you will come back as an enlightened, spiritual human person that has connected with the source of everything.
Yeah, totally. Or someone's like, Emma, you can come out now. The coronavirus is like, we're able to travel. I'm like, really? Like, I might be completely out of tune with what's going on. Probably no bad thing, but people are like, we need to get Emma out of the valley. She's still stuck there. She doesn't know it's over. So yeah, it'd be interesting. But it's going to be a colourful journey, I would say. Getting back to basics, and I might the stuff that I might miss, but I'm not. I could go and cycle in, and and I have friends that I'm pretty sure I could go and park up in their driveway and just sort of have a hot shower and do whatever. So yeah, all is not completely off grid. So
sure.
But it's making me think what I want, So I'm looking at a place in Cumbria to buy, and then for me, it's about location. Yeah, now more than anything else. So.
Emma, do you meditate?
I do. Yeah, I meditate a lot more outside now. Obviously, I don't have much of a choice, but yeah, I do meditate outside a lot. Different types of meditation. I'm being more open because lots of people are coming through with their gifts now and sharing. So I'm sort of like tuning in to different ways, and I'm really into like root chakra, and because I think right now people's foundations are a little bit rocky, and the big fallouts is because they've got rubbish foundations, isn't it? So for me, it's about readdressing that, my connection with nature, and doing that. So so the meditations I'm listening to are life cycles, like even the life cycle of water, from the sky comes down into the river, goes back up, so I'm really enjoying being part of that process of a cycle. So I think life is about cycle.
Absolutely is. Yeah. What does spirituality mean to you, Emma?
Spirituality, I think, good question. I think I'm being more and more, like some people are being more spiritual now. So the Wim Hof method has sort of it's been that gateway to connect with myself and have a new connection outwards. So when I first started, it was I was quite, what do I call it? Selfish, I suppose. We're trying to figure out how I tick and what place do I have.
Yeah.
I think like the more I'm into it, spirituality is more about being open to others and being more sort of not a servant, but just sort of helping others. And I have been afraid of that because I'm always worried about being judged. Nothing like that. But actually, the more I talk, the more I realize I am spiritual, in the sense I don't have a watch anymore. I don't even know what I'm going to do 2 days time and things, but I don't have much family either, so I don't need the routine and the structure, which I understand some households do and things like that. So I appreciate that that's not my way or my chosen way. So I think for me, spirituality is Wim. I heard a podcast with Wim, well, not with Wim actually. He was talking about Wim, and he was saying about the body and mind connection, that you really need to unite that. And when you unite that, you can change anything. So I think that's my new kind of focus, is really because Wim in the experiment, body over mind or mind over body, it's online. He thought himself warm. So when the cold wetsuit that he was wearing, he couldn't do any of the Wim Hof because he was stuck in a little tiny PET scan or whatever, and he thought himself warm, and I just think that's so incredibly powerful, and to have that connection think yourself warm and go up 1 degree as well. So it did even more. I think that's spirituality in the sense that you don't own your body or your mind, and you're something more greater than that. And it's really, really nice. I think that's introducing me to collectedness and the collective awakening that's happening now. That I kind of I'm ready for the next level of being open. And it's something that you can't force. So a bit of patience as well in spirituality.
I love it. The collective awakening, it's I so truly agree with you. It's a beautiful way of looking at it. It might take a period of disruption and pain and difficulties, but you can't awaken in an easy way. I think you need to go through some hardship as humanity. Thank you for listening to this first part of the interview with Emma Estrela. Tune in on the next episode where Emma is talking about breathing, and she actually does a breathwork exercise for all of us to enjoy, and it's amazing. Thank you very much for listening. Please take a moment to subscribe, rate and review Personal Development Mastery on Apple Podcasts. If you want to know more about me and how I can help you, join my Facebook group Personal Development Mastery. You can either search for it on Facebook or you can simply type bit.ly/PDM group. And until next time, stand out, don't fit in.